being a child, I loved the purity of Superman. It was a time when I was starting to understand what movies were.
James didn't know that Superman was in his future. He wasn't sure that that was the one he should be doing. And then he called me one day and he said, I have a way in. I know what I want to talk about.
I had been trying to crack it for years. This character's noble, and he's beautiful.
All right. This Jamaal Finkley on top of the Daily Planet headquarters here in Culver City, California, also the home of BlackTree TV. And we're here to talk to super director and writer James Gunn about his new film, Superman, and see if he can replicate the masterpiece he did with Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a lot of pressure on doing this IP and a lot of political stuff going on, but we're going to talk to him all about it. Y'all going to love this interview. Stay tuned right here to BlackTree TV. Come on, Superman. Jamaal Finkley from the Daily Planet / BlackTree TV. James, when I think about my all top 10 films, Guardians of the Galaxy is like solidly there. So
thanks,
like among the directors of Zemeckis, Spielberg, Spike, Lucas, Tarantino, Coogler, Gunn is there.
Oh, thanks,
So,
man. That's a good group of guys.
Yeah,
And some guys I really like a lot, too.
So when I ask this question, no, I'm coming from a point of admiration. I want to know, do directors have a prime like athletes? And is there like any pressure, whether like internal or from audience expectations, to replicate what you've done with Guardians for other projects? And how do you like navigate that and still push your creative like ceiling?
Yeah, but what's the first part of the question? I hear the second part.
The directors have like a prime like athletes? Like, is it?
Oh,
do you still have that?
Yeah,
move
I think
and all this stuff?
they do. I think that we've seen a lot in the past. We've seen some directors who are able to, really keep it going. Kurosawa being the primary one, right? Who's still making pretty great movies when he's in his 80s. But Clint was really good. Scorsese's really made good movies until he was older, and then other ones just kind of there's something that's lost. And I try to figure what that is exactly, because I don't want to be making movies when that's the case. I admire Quentin that he's going to stop after his next movie, which I think has put a lot of pressure on it. But I admire that. But I think that yeah, that they do. And then the second part, which I understood, I can't remember.
I mean, is there?
Oh, do I feel pressure
yeah.
to put? No, I don't really. I don't like. I feel pressure to make a good movie. I don't feel pressure to replicate what the Guardians were. I feel pressure to make the best Superman movie I possibly can. Yeah.
Your choices, your actions.
And then speaking of that, I mean, whether it's Guardians or Suicide, they had characters that people love, but they weren't as universally iconic as the IP for Superman.
That's
Is there any different approach when you have something that's so universally big as Superman in the writing and directing?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways. I mean, number one, you have to drown out the noise, because everybody has an idea of what Superman is supposed to be. Trunks or no trunks, this or that or this. I had to just trust in myself as a Superman fan that I was going to serve the character the best I possibly could, and I wasn't going to do anything to the character that hurt the essence of who the character is, of that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster created in 1938. At the same time, I think that, I really, I was having a harder time with this character, or it was more daunting to me, not because of being Superman and so iconic and all of the noise around that, but because Superman is a different kind of character than I normally focus on. So my usual thing is focusing on people who are pretty screwed up. and you see that they're pretty angry or upset people, and little by little we chisel away and we find out they have a heart there somewhere. That's a story I've told and retold. Superman isn't that. This is a story about a guy who's pretty damn healthy. He's got his flaws, unlike maybe some Supermans, but this one has his flaws. He's not perfect. He's a bit too idealistic and has a temper and has, but at the same time, he was brought up by parents who loved him. He doesn't have all of the protective mechanisms in place that I'm used to. This is a story about a guy who's in a good position, who believes certain things about himself, finds out those things aren't true, and then has to recontextualize how he views himself. And that is a much different type of story. So from a storytelling perspective, yeah, yeah, Superman was more difficult.
There's a sub-story going on about people that are facing oppression and fighting bigger people. And it would be reminiscent of a lot of people would think of a situation that's going on currently that's politically toxic to talk about. You know, I mean, even Trump even has a meme coin as Superman. So it's like you don't even want to say something. It's like saying Voldemort or something. Like you don't want to even say that. Like, how do you know as a writer what to lean into or avoid that could be like divisive or whatever?
I mean, you don't have a lot of control over what people consider divisive. I mean, you can't foresee everything. To me, Superman is, I mean, it's a political film only insofar that everything that we do is in some ways political, right? Yeah. However, you know, what was interesting to me was Superman's relationship with the government from a story point of view. We're asking, if Superman was real, what would his relationship be like to a government? You know, we have different factions. We have in this movie, corporations, governments, you know, scientists, Superman, metahumans. And they're all struggling for power in different ways. So how would that power struggle manifest itself with Superman? And that's really what the movie was about. So it came from a story perspective, a personal perspective. And I know that it does sort of mimic some things that are happening in society that maybe weren't even happening before, you know, I wrote this movie, at the time when I wrote this movie. But it's really about the story itself.
It's been a great movie, man. I don't know if there's a part two, like there's been such an attack on journalism, if there'll be a Daily Planet, but you always deliver, man. Like I said, you're one of my favorites. I really appreciate you, brother.
I really appreciate that, dude. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day.